The book of First Chronicles, chapter 4, verse 1. Excuse me. The homies of Judah were Pharez, Hezron, Carmi, Hur, and Shobal, you know. So Rhea, Shobal's son, became the father of Jahath, who then had Ahumai and Lahad. These are the Zorathites' clans. And these were the family of Etam, Jez, Ish, and Idai, and their sis was Hazah. And Penuel, the OG dad of Gedor and Ezer, the cool dad of Husha. These dudes are the sons of Hur, the oldest one from Ephratah, the one who started it all in Bethlehem. Also, Hur is the one that founded Bethlehem. Interesting. So like this dude, Ashur from Tekoa, he had, two wives, Hela and Nara. And Nara had children named Ahuzam, Hefer, Timini, and Ha-Hashtari. These were Nara's sons. Hela had three sons named Zereth, Jezoar, and Ethnan. And Kaz had Anub, Zobeba, and the rest of Aharhel's descendants, who was Harum's son. So Jabez was like totally cooler than his bros, and his mom gave him a name that was like super deep. She called him Jabez, which means like being all sad and stuff. And Jabez hits up God, the God of Israel, like, yo, I'm really hoping you can hook me up with some serious blessings, make my territory bigger, and keep me away from all the bad stuff that can mess me up. And guess what? God totally grants his request, no hesitation. Epic, right? And Shalu, Shua's bro, had a son named Mahir, who became the dad of Eshton. Eshton had three sons, Betharapha, Paseah, and Tehina, who was the father of Imahash. These were the people who lived in Reka. And Kenaz had two sons, Othniel and Sariah. Othniel also had a son named Hathath. And Meon-Nathai had a kid named Ophrah. And Sariah had a kid named Joab, who became the leader of the creative community in the valley of Charashim, because they were all really skilled at their crafts. And Caleb's boys were Eru, Elah, Naam, and their brother Kenaz, who was the son of Elah. And Jahalahil had these sons, Ziph, Zipha, Teriah, and Asareel. Now, why would you name the kids that? Ziph. What's your name? Ziph. Ezra had some cool offspring, Jether, Mered, Epher, and Jalon. Their mama also gave birth to Miriam, Shammai, and Ishba, who's the dad of Eshtemoa. And Jehudijah, his wife, had a son named Jared, who became the father of Gedor. Why would her name be Jehudijah? What's your name? Jehudijah. Heber became the father of Soko, and Jakuthiel became the father of Zanoah. These were the sons of Bithadiah, the daughter of Pharaoh, who married Mary. And Hodiah's sons were Kaliah, the Garmite, and Eshtemoa, the Maakathite. Shimon had sons named Ammon, Rena, Ben-Hanan, and Telon. Ishai had sons named Zoheth and Ben-Zoheth. Shelah, who was Judah's son, had some cool kids. There was the dude who founded Leka and Leda, the guy who started Marisha. They were part of the fams who rocked the fine linen game rep in the house of Ashbiah. And Joachim, the squad from Shozeba, Joash, Zareph, who held it down in Moab, and Jashub, Lahem. And these are like old school facts. These were skilled artisans and those who lived amidst nature and greenery. They resided alongside the king to execute their crafts. Simeon had these lit sons, Nemuel, Jamin, Jerib, Zerah, and Shaul. Nemul could also be called Jemuel. Jirib and Zerah could also be known as Jachin and Zohar. You feel? No, not really. Shallum had a son named Mibsam, who had a son named Mishma. And Mishma had some dope sons, Hamuel, Zakur, and Shemaiah. So Shemaiah had 16 sons and 6 daughters, but his siblings didn't have as many kids, and their family didn't grow as much as the children of Judah did. So they stayed in Beersheba, Malada, and Hazar Shual, and they named their places Bilhah, Ezam, and Tolad. And like at Bethul and Hormah and Ziklag, and in Bath Markabath and Hazaru Sin, and in Beth Birei, and in Sharim, these were the cities until David became king. And these were their towns: Etam, Ayin, Rimmon, Token, and Ashen, a total of 5 cities. And all the cool towns that surrounded those cities up to Baal. These were the places they lived and their family history. And there was also Meshobab, Shemaiah, and Joshua, the son of Amaziah. And there's this guy named Joel and Jehu. He's the son of Josibiah, who's also the son of Sariah, who happens to be the son of Asiel. And we also got Elonai, Jacobah, Jeshoiah, Asaiah, Adiel, Jismiel, and Benaiah in the squad, and Ziza, who was the child of Shiphi, who was the child of Alon, who was the child of Jediah, who was the child of Shimri, who was the child of Shemaiah. These are the OGs of their families, known and respected in their names, and their family legacies grew like crazy, straight up multiplying. So they went to this spot called Kedar, which is like on the east side of the valley, looking for a place where their flocks can chillax and munch on some good grass. So like they stumbled upon this lit pasture, it was so good. And the land was mad spacious, chill and peaceful. Turns out the peeps from Ham had been there for a hot minute. So this group of people, who were mentioned by name, showed up during the time when Hezekiah was the king of Judah. They basically went and wrecked the tents and homes they found there, completely wiping them out until now. And guess what? They took over those spaces and made them their own, because there was some good pasture land for their flocks. So like some of the dudes from the Simon crew, about 500 of them, they rolled up to Mount Seir. Leading the pack were Pelatiah, Neriah, Rephaiah, and Uzziel. Those dudes are the sons of Ishi. And they totally destroyed the remaining Amalekites who managed to escape and settled there until now. 1 Chronicles chapter 5. So like Reuben was the oldest son of Israel and stuff. But like he did something wrong by sleeping with his father's wife. So his birthright got taken away and given to Joseph's sons instead. And just to be clear, the family tree doesn't follow the whole birthright thing anymore. So basically, Judah was the one who came out on top among his brothers and became the ruler. But the birthright belonged to Joseph. Like he was the real deal, the chief or whatever. So Reuben, the OG of Israel, had some siblings named Hanak, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. Joel's fam was lit. Shemaiah was his son, Gog was his son, and Shemaiah was his son too. Micah's kid, Ria's kid, Baal's kid. Bera, the dude who got taken hostage by Tiglath-Pileser, the super powerful king of Assyria. Yeah, he used to be the top dog of the Reubenites. By the way, Tiglath-Pileser is also known as Tiglath-Pileser. Or Tiglath-Pilneser is also known as Tiglath-Pileser. So like his brothers from different families, when their family trees were all figured out, they were like the main dudes. We got Jael and Zechariah. They were the top players, man. So there's this dude named Bela, right? He's the son of Azaz, who's the son of Shema, who's the son of Joel. Bela was living it up in Arior, chilling all the way from Nebo to Baal Meon. Well, and by the way, Shema is also known as Shemaiah, in case you were wondering. And he went to the east until he reached the edge of the wild from the Euphrates River because their livestock had multiplied in the land of Gilead. Back in Saul's time, there was a big showdown with the Hagarites. Saul's crew totally defeated them. After that, they set up camp all over the eastern part of Gilead. It was like their turf now, you know what I'm saying? And the kids of Gad made their crib in the land of Bashan, all the way to Salcah. Joel the leader, and Shaphan the second in command, and Janai and Shaphat rocking it in Bashan. And their squad from their fams were Michael, Mashulam, Sheba, Joral, Jachin, Zia, and Heber, a total of 7 homies. These are the fams of Abihail. He's the son of Hurai, grandson of Jeroah, great-grandson of Gilead, great-great-grandson of Michael, super great-grandson of Jeshishaiah, mega great-grandson of Jado, and ultimate great-grandson of Buzz. Now, how are you going to build it up with all these big names? Great, great, mega great, super great, extraordinary great. And it all goes back to Buzz. That was not a good ending to that part. Buzz. All right. Ahai, the homie who was Abdiel's son, and Abdiel, Guni's son, be straight up leading the crew from their family's crib. So they lived in Gilead and Bashan and in the cool towns and hip neighborhoods of Sharon, all along their borders. Like all this stuff was kept in record books back in the day when Jotham was king of Judah and Jeroboam was king of Israel, no cap. Then the Reubenites, Gadites, and half of the Manassites were a bunch of fearless warriors, skilled in using shields, swords, bows, and knocking down enemies. There were a total of 44,760 of them who went off to battle. They were hardcore, no doubt about it. And they totally clashed with the Hagarite squad, straight up battling Jetur, Nephish, and Nodab. And they got major assistance against the Hagarites, who totally got wrecked along with all their crew. Why? Because they straight up called out to God during the time of battle. And he totally heard them and answered their prayers. It was all because they had mad trust in him, no doubt. And they straight up snatched their whole livestock game, like 50,000 camels, 250,000 sheep, 2,000 donkeys, and a solid 100,000 homies. For real, though, they totally took them captive, like no joke. Many people died in the battle because it was a war ordained by God, and they lived in their own places until they were taken captive. Wow, a war ordained by God. Think about that, saints. Explain that in the comment section. A lot of times we think serving God means the absence of war, but this was a war ordained by God. I guess that's what you would call a holy war. My Lord. And the kids from the half tribe of Manasseh were vibing in the land. They totally blew up from Bashan all the way to Baal Hermon and Senir, even to Mount Hermon. And these were the bosses of their fams like Epher, Ishai, Eliel, Azriel, Jeremiah, Hodaviah, and Jadiel, mega chads, legit famous dudes, and the top dogs of their fams. You know, those with big reputations. And they totally betrayed the God of their ancestors and started hooking up with the gods that the folks in that land worship. But God already wiped out those gods, man. So the God of Israel got the attention of Pul, the king of Assyria, and Tiglath-Pileser, another king of Assyria. These kings decided to round up the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. They took them all to places like Halah, Habor, Hara, and the river Gozan. And guess what? This happened a long time ago, but even to this day, those places still exist. First Chronicles chapter 6. The homies from Levi is found: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. So Kohath had these cool sons: Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uzziel. And Amram's kids were lit: Aaron, Moses, and Miriam. Aaron's boys were also in the fam: Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. Eleazar had a kid named Phinehas, who had a kid named Abishua. And Abishua became the dad of Buki, and Buki became the dad of Uzi. Why you all name that kid Buki? That's not proper. Poor thing going to school, being picked at because his name is Buki. That's a nickname, not a real name. And Uzi had a kid named Zariah, and Zariah had a kid named Marioth. Marioth was the OG. He gave birth to Amariah, and Amariah passed the torch to Ahitub. And Ahitub had a child named Zadok, and Zadok had a child named Ahimaaz. See, all these names are not strange like Buki. And Ahaz had a kid named Azariah, and Azariah had a kid named Johanan. And Johanan had a son named Azariah, who was the one in charge of all the priest stuff at the awesome temple that Solomon built in Jerusalem. And Azariah had a kid named Amariah, and Amariah had a kid named Ahitub. And Ahitub had a son named Zadok, and Zadok had a son named Shallum. And Shallum had a kid named Ecliah, and Ecliah had a kid named Azariah. And Azariah became the father of Sariah, and Sariah became the father of Jehozadak. So Jehozadak got into some real trouble when the Lord let Nebuchadnezzar take over Judah and Jerusalem. These are the sons of Levi: Gershom, Kohath, and Merari. So like these are the names of Gershom's sons: Libni and Shemaiah. And dudes of Kohath were Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uzziel. Here are the dudes from the fam of Merari: Mali and Mushi. And these are the fams of the Levites based on their OG dads. Gershom had a son named Libni, who had a son named Jahath, who then had a son named Zima. Then there was Joab. He had a son named Edo, who had a son named Zerah. And finally, Jeaterai came along, who was also known as Ethni. The descendants of Kohath were Aminadab, who had a son named Korah, and Korah had a son named Asir. Elkanah, his fam, Ebiasaph, and Aser, all his offspring. Tahath begot Uriel, Uriel begot Uzziah, Uzziah begot Shaul. And Elkanah's sons were Amasai and Heamath, fam. Elkanah had two sons named Zophai and Nahath. Just an FYI, Zophai can also be called Zuph. Eliab the homie, Jehoram his son, Elkanah the next gen in the fam, and Samuel's sons were Vashni the oldest and Abiah. The Merari fam: Mali, Libni his kid, Shimei his grandkid, and Uzzah his great-grandkid. Shimei's kid, Haggai's kid, Asia's kid. And these are the peeps that David chose to rock the tunes in the crib of the Lord once the ark was chilling. So like these guys were totally serving in front of the tabernacle, right? They were all about singing vibes, just doing their thing until Solomon finished building the Lord's house in Jerusalem. And yeah, after that, they kept doing their duties in their specific roles. Super legit, you know? And these are the ones who were chilling with their kids. Among the Kohathite bros, there was Heman, a sick singer, son of Joel, son of Shumael. He was just vibing. This dude named Elkanah had a son. Then that son had a dad named Jehoram, who had a dad called Eliel. And that Eliel guy, pops called Toah. This dude, Zuf's son, Elkanah's grandkid, Mahath's great-grandson, Amasai's great-great-grandson, Elkanah's kid, Joel's grandkid, Azariah's great-grandchild, Zephaniah's great-great-grandchild. Tahath's son, Vibes, Assur's son, Gain, Eli Biasaf's lineage, Korah's bloodline, Izhar's kiddo, Kohath's descendant, Levi's fam, all part of Israel's bloodline. And his bro Asaph, who was like right there on his right hand, Asaph was Barakai's son and Shemiah's grandson. Michael had a son named Basiah, who had a son named Malchiah. Ethnai's kid, Zerah's fam, Adiah's descendant. This dude, Ethan's kid, Zimmah's grandchild, Shimei's great-grandchild. This dude named Jahith had a son named Gershom, who also had a son named Levi. And on the left side were their fellow descendants of Merari, Ethan, the son of Kishai, the son of Abdi, the son of Maluk, Hashabiah's kid, who was Amaziah's kid, who was Hilkiah's kid, Amzai's son, Bani's son, Shammer's son, Mali's kid, Mushi's offspring, Merari's successor, Levi's descendant. The Levites were also chosen to do all sorts of tasks in God's house, alongside their fellow brothers. So Aaron and his squad flexed on the burnt offering altar and the incense altar. They were chosen to handle all the sacred tasks and make things right for Israel, following Moses' orders like a true servant of God. So here's a rundown of Aaron's kids: Eleazar, Phinehas, and Abishua, in that order. I thought you already told us this. We're going over this again. Buki was it? Yeah, we're going over this all over again, saints. They're repeating themselves. Lord, have mercy. Buki again. Buki was his dad. Uzai was his bro. And Zariah was his homie. Then Moriah had a son named Amariah. And Amariah had a son named Ahitub. I can't believe they're going through this all over again. Zadok had a son named Ahimaaz. So these were the places where the dudes from Aaron's fam lived, They had their chill castles along the coast, repping the Kohathite crew, because that's what they got, man. That was their spot. So they hooked them up with the Hebron in the land of Judah and all the cool areas surrounding it. But they totally hooked Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, up with the fields in the city and the surrounding villages, no cap. So to Aaron's kids, they gave these cool cities in Judah, There's Hebron, the ultimate hangout spot for anyone in need of safety and protection. And then we got Libnah with all its chill surroundings, and also Jatir and Eshtoma, complete with their trendy suburbs, of course. And Hillen with its chill hangout spots, Deber with its trendy neighborhoods. And don't forget Ashan and Beth Shemesh with all their chill hangout spots, Ashton, also known as Ain. And from the tribe of Benjamin, there were Geba and its chill hangout spots, Alima with its cool spots, and Anathoth with its dope vibes. They got a total of a lit 13 cities with their crew. And the leftover from the Kohath gang, they got some cities from the half tribe of Manasseh, 10 of them by lucky draw. And for the Gershom squad, they got 13 rad cities to vibe in. These cities came from the tribes of Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, and Manasseh and Bashan. The sons of Merari got their cities by drawing lots, one for each of their families. Their cities were chosen from the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Zebulun. In total, they received 12 cities. So the Israelites were Levites, there's some 6 cities for you with the chill suburbs. So they randomly assigned cities from the tribes of Judah, Simeon, and Benjamin. And these cities were known by their own names. And the remaining families of the sons of Kohath had their cities in designated regions outside of the land given to the tribe of Ephraim. And they were like, here you go, dudes. Take these cool cities for refuge. Shechem in the mountains of Ephraim, and also Gezer with its chill suburbs. And Jotmeam, like totally chill with its surrounding areas. And Beth-horon, rocking with its suburbs. And like Ajalon in its surrounding areas, and Gath-rimmon in its surrounding areas. And from the half tribe of Manasseh, there were Aner with its chill hangout spots, and Beliam with its chill hangouts for the fam of the remaining peeps from the sons of Kohath. So like the guys from Gershom, right? They got some land from the half tribe of Manasseh. They got Golan and Bashan and the areas around it, and Ashtaroth and its surrounding places. Pretty cool, huh? And from the Issachar crew, we got Kadesh with all its chill neighborhoods, and Debarath with its lit suburbs, and Ramoth along with its cool nearby areas, and Anim with its chill surroundings. And from the tribe of Asher came Mashai with its chill hangouts, and Abdon with its trendy spots, and Hoka, with like its chill neighborhoods, and Rehob, like with its totally cool suburbs. And from Naphtali fam, Kadesh and Galilee with its chill hangouts, Haman with its trendy spots, and Kirjathim with its happening scenes. And the other kids from Merari fam got some land from the Zebulon crew. They got Rimmon and its chill neighborhood, and Tabor with its cool surroundings. On the other side of the Jordan River near Jericho, in the eastern part of the Jordan, the tribe of Reuben received Bezer and Jazza, along with the surrounding areas in the wilderness. Oh, and don't forget Kedemoth and its chill neighboring areas, and Mephath with its dope suburbs too. And from the tribe of Gad came Ramoth and Gilead, cool hometown vibes, and Mahanaim, an awesome spot with its own suburbs, and Heshbon, like totally with its chill neighborhood vibes, and Jazer with those rad surrounding areas. Woo! Everybody put in the comment section, this is the word of the Lord. Follow, like, and subscribe. Hit that arrow at the bottom of the screen and share this video. In that one chapter alone, there were 81 verses. Can you believe it? But we made it through. 1 Chronicles chapter 4 through 6. Shall we pray? Fathers, we come before you. We see all these lists of names and this genealogy, but really the half of this is just scattered all over the place because the people forsook you and they started worshiping other gods. And so it's almost like all these genealogies that we read about, the great, great, and mega great, and super great, and outrageously great. It all means nothing because the people did not walk in obedience, and all of that came to naught. So, Father, let us take heed to the song that says, only what you do for Christ is going to last. As you bless us, keep us with sober minds so that we don't think it's our goodness or anything of our own that caused us to be blessed, but help us to stay humble. Honoring you helps us to stay humble and helps our mindset to stay regulated so that we don't get an overly indulgent view of ourselves, but we see ourselves as people simply being used by you. Now bless us now as we continue to glorify your name. We'll praise you and honor you and magnify you, for we ask it all in Jesus' name. And all the people of God said amen, and put in the comment section, this is the word of the Lord. And I need you, if you have not already done this, I want you to subscribe to this page. Make sure you follow this page. Do that right now. And also go to bishopelijahhankerson.com and join our mailing list with your number and your email address. And then as a special blessing in the remarks, make sure that you put your pastor's name, your church address, and the birth date of your pastor. And on the birth date of your pastor, roundabout, I'll be sending your pastor a personalized birthday card that I've prayed over, fasted over, spoken over, that the house of God would be bountifully blessed of God. So let's do that today. Go to bishopelijahhankerson.com. Do that today. And I believe that God will continue to bless in a great way. God bless.